Welcome to the We Shine Well podcast, where I have real conversations with thought leaders in wellness to help you live your most vibrant, aligned, and purposeful life. I'm your host, Zoe Kelsey, founder of We Shine Well. Here, we share honest stories, gems of wisdom, and insight to spark clarity and guide your next right step so you can shine brighter from the inside out. Now let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by one of the most radiant and joyful voices in wellness. DJ Blatner is registered dietitian, author of the Flexitarian Diet and the Superfood Swap, and former head dietitian for the Chicago Cubs. DJ brings a refreshing science-backed perspective to health. Fun is a success tool, and joy is a nutrient, not a bonus, but a requirement for optimal well-being. With decades of experience spanning sports nutrition, media, and everyday life, she helps people build strong bodies and joyful lives without restriction, rigidity, or burnout. In our conversation, we talk about why she doesn't set traditional goals, how her daily joy hustle guides her decisions, and what it really looks like to align your health, food, choices, and career with values like fun, freedom, creativity, and purpose. This episode is energizing, liberating, and deeply grounding, an invitation to nourish yourself in a way that actually feels good and sustainable. Let's dive in. Hi, DJ. I am so excited to have you on the We Shine Well podcast today. Everything that you do is full of joy, and you are just like one of the most radiant people that I've met, and truly the essence of being joy-filled. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you so much for having me on this podcast. You and your community, stars, bright, shining stars, and so I'm so happy to be with you.
Well, thank you. And I'm excited to dive into this conversation. And just wanted to kick off as well as how did you get to where you are today, and what does living a joy-filled life mean to you?
Yeah, well, here's the scoop. So I'm a registered dietitian, okay? And I really just was in love with this career, right? I was very passion-filled. And so I was doing all sorts of work with magazines and television and writing books and doing all this stuff. And interns would call me, or young students would call me, or anybody would call me and say, "Oh my goodness, you live such a great life. Could you tell me, how did you get so successful?" And so I would answer their questions. And then one day I collapsed on the ground crying. And I thought,
No.
I cannot believe that I am telling these people how great this life is, because it looks great from the outside, but it stinks to live. It was the worst. It was just chasing, one more magazine article, one more TV segment, one more book. What have you done for me lately, girl? Like my inner world was dead. I mean, it was dead. And so it took that moment of like laying literally on the floor crying of like, how did I build this life that looks amazing from the outside, but feels like poop to live? And so I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was like, what do you do with this information? And so I started on a big journey to figure out how to get more joy in my job. That was it. I was a dietitian because it was a passion, and I killed it. And so much of us can do that stuff. We can take something great and kill it with competition, and kill it with hustle, and kill it with perfectionism, and kill it. And so it's like I needed to, revitalize that joy that led me to wanting to be a dietitian. And so I promised myself that if I found the secret, if I could get myself out of that dark space, that I would share it from the mountaintops. And so that is where I'm at now, is that I'm like, I want to tell you all about it, how you can get out of the darkness.
Yes. Well, tell us more. How did you what sparked your original joy to become a dietitian, and how did you get that spark of joy back?
Yeah. So I always thought nutrition was like magic. I thought, isn't it incredible that you could put something in your human body? So you're putting this food or supplements into your body, and it can change your blood. It can change your blood work. It can change how you feel. It can change your skin, your organs. Like, what? This is the closest thing that I'm ever going to get to witchcraft. Like, I thought this was like amazing. And so I was in college, and I heard the greatest advice ever from a TV show that said, do for a career what you do in your spare time. And I thought, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
what great career advice. Whoever told me that? Nobody. So I had to learn that from TV. And so I just took an inventory of what I like to do. I was, undecided as a major. And I thought, oh my gosh, I love to hang out at the health food store. I love to make tofu things and try and feed my drunk friends all these like tofu dishes. I love to read health magazines. I love to rollerblade. And so I went to a counselor and I said, I love all those things. And he was like, there's no such job as a rollerblading, magazine reading, tofu making person. He's like, the closest thing I think would be a dietitian. And so I said, well,
Mhm.
geez, if that's the closest thing to everything that I like to do, sign me up. I'm very glad I didn't research this further because you need to do a ton of chemistry. Like I have a minor in chemistry because of this degree. I would never have done it. If I
Yep.
would have known that you had to do an unpaid internship for like 8 to 12 months, I would never have done it. But at the end, I'm very glad I went in sort of blinded by just, trying to follow that passion of wanting to
Mhm.
do for a career what I did in my spare time.
Mhm. And through that, what was your relationship with food like, going from just feeding tofu to your drunk friends in college to being in that clinical setting to then becoming a dietitian and supporting other people?
Yeah, so I would say that I was very selfish in this career choice, that I was reading all these things and doing all these things to make myself feel good. I remember when I was in high school, like I always got up super early to go to the bathroom, like for hours before school would start. And I always had a
Mhm.
stomach ache and I always felt sick. And I just lived
Mm.
on Tums, like
Mm.
literally lived on Tums as a kid. And so
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be a way to be better than this. And
Yeah.
so that's why I was always in my spare time, hanging out at the health food store. I just want to feel good. And
Mhm.
so then when I got to learn more about nutrition and what you put in your body and how it makes you feel, all of this still was all for myself. I was like, I just wanted to feel good. And then it became almost impossible not to share it. Then anytime
Mhm.
somebody's like, what are you up to? I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to try this kale. It makes you feel so energized or whatever. So I selfishly was into it to feel good. And then I just started sharing it. And I always wanted to do more passion filled jobs. So I never ended up actually working in a hospital outside of my internship. My first job was working as a dietitian at a health food store, which was
Mhm.
my dream job because, that's where I hung out all the time. I loved it.
Uh-huh.
And I would recommend supplements and all sorts of foods and things. Again, magic to help
Mhm.
people. And then my second dream job was working in a spa. I really loved the spa culture. And so I
Yeah.
did that. And then my next job was working at a wellness institute with a lot more science and a lot more research through a hospital, but it was all wellness related. And that was really my start of my career, is just getting all of these like kind of cool opportunities to share the magic of nutrition.
Mhm. And it even sounds like in your evolution, nutrition and food and using it as fuel as nourishment brought you joy to not feel crappy, but feel well too.
Yeah, you know what? You're so right. In looking back, a lot of, I didn't know this about myself, but I really have been a pursuer of joy for a long time. I know how
Mhm.
to get rid of it. I know how to do that too. But I've always, been interested in, yes, in feeling good. And nutrition was one way to do it. And of course, rollerblading and being active was another way. So then I was always racking up these ideas of, testing out what actually does make me feel good. And if it made
Yeah.
me feel good, I kept it up. And so you're
Mhm.
right, is I was a pursuer of joy all along. But, truly competition with myself, perfectionism, more, the hustle culture all got me, and it got me good, and kind of pushed
Mhm.
me down from all this, high achieving that I was doing. And I was like, if you can do all of this achievements and you still don't feel good, what is going on? Like, how do you tap into feeling good? So yeah, I think that's really where I started looking even more into this concept of joy, not accidentally running into it, but trying to be a lot more conscientious about going going toward it.
Mhm. And going back to your story of just being pretty much burnt out on the ground. How did you get your spark of joy back? And what does joy mean to you today?
Okay, so the real secret, like when I look back and I think, how did I do it? You know what I mean? Like, what's up?
Give us the
And
inside scoop.
yeah, what is the inside scoop, right? Because that's where people want to know, right? People are like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds like a good thing. Like, what can I do? So it started for me keeping a joy journal. Okay. And so I opened a book and I gave myself 7 days to find joy, anything that was joyful. And after the 7 days, I came back and I looked at my journal, and I'm not trying to be dramatic. I literally had 0 things. I literally, for 7 days of actually really trying to find joy, I had 0. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so this is not going to work. Something is wrong. And so I was like, oh, I think I have the wrong definition of joy. I think joy is like people dancing and glitter and like giggles and bubbles and carnivals. That isn't actually it. Like those can be pieces of it, but coffee that's hot in the morning is joyful. Is like having enough water to have a hot shower in the morning, joyful. Like having a cozy bed, joyful. Like all of these little things were the things that I was missing. And so when I reassigned myself that 7-day joy, and actually at the time I was working with a business coach who technically I gave her the job of helping me find joy in my job. She's the one who gave me the assignment of the joy journal. And so then redefining what joy was is being these smaller little things. Oh my gosh, I had a lot of them then. I was like, I really like how this pen writes. I really like when that girl at the gym smiles at me. Like, whatever. I was putting all these little things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had it all wrong. Joy is all in these little things. And so the joy journal was like the aha moment that I had, that I was like looking in the wrong place for joy. And I thought joy was a different definition than it actually is. And then the second step is truly the secret, I think, of amplifying joy. And that is being present, single tasking. So I used to believe I got a ton of stuff done because I was multitasking, because this editor would be writing me and this TV producer would be writing me and this was happening. And, at the time I was the Chicago Cubs, a baseball head dietitian, and I was doing 2 books at one time. Like I was just a producer. Like I was like, go, 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 go. And multitasking is how I got stuff done. So when my business coach was like, why don't you test out doing one thing at a time? I said, you have no idea how success is made. Success is made by multitasking and being productive. And she's like, well, okay, how about maybe we just test it out? So we used to say a lot when I was working with this coach, the word test. Now I call it a joy experiment, is that I just experiment a lot in my world and say, I wonder what it would feel like if I did this. So I said, fine, begrudgingly, I did a single tasking, experiment. And I said, I'm going to get nothing done this week. And she's like, don't have to try it for a week. Try it for a day. And I was like, I'm going to get nothing done today. And I'm going to show you, lady, how I know success and you do not. And so for one full day, I gave it really, an impressive try. I said, okay. And I struggled. I really had trouble single tasking. So then she actually emailed me. She snail mailed me a sand timer, like the old fashioned way people would do time, right? She was like, turn off all your clocks, because I used to just look at the clock and think about how much I could produce in 15 more minutes or 20 minutes. I was just obsessed with the clock, multitasking,
like a machine.
Productive. I don't know. I came from a hustle family and I lived in a hustle culture. It was just like what I thought you did, to not be like lazy. And so anyway, I take this sand timer. So this is my second experiment, do the sand timer, because I really couldn't do it, the single tasking. Oh my gosh, one full day, I sat in front of each task that I had and I gave it my full attention. I gave it my full enthusiasm. And when I say magic started happening, it was like something unlocked. I became the most creative version of myself. I became the most energetic version of myself. I became the most brave and daring version of myself. I could not believe what single tasking could do when you were like just looking at something. I could put all my energy into it. I could make my emails to that person hot pink. I could use the right emojis. It was incredible. And so a real joy amplifier is being present to everything you're doing. So you're not there thinking about something else, or not there thinking about, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get to my next appointment if this lady keeps on talking, whatever. No, I'm present. And that is where things started really working for me. That's where I started really understanding how much fun and enthusiasm you can put into little tasks, and that all of a sudden they multiplied and people started emailing me opportunities out of nowhere. It was like, for example, let me just give you one example. Out of nowhere, doing things with this very creative, brave, energetic touch that I started having. I thought I was successful before. I get a call from a TV show to star in a reality show on national TV. I was like, what? Gosh. I thought it was a prank call. I was like, what are you talking about? You want me to do this? It was great. Then I got offered an opportunity to host my own TV show. And I was like, what is happening here? I was like, oh my gosh, I need to spread the word. The more you add fun to things, it's actually a success tool. The more joy you put into things, the more nourished you feel to do all of this stuff. It's an incredible combination of success that I actually thought was a bunch of baloney, and I thought it was a bunch of fluff, and I thought happy people did not know how to be successful, and absolutely the opposite is true.
Yeah.
What?
That's powerful.
Yes.
And it sounds like, is your coach the one who originally led you to the word joy?
I would say so. I would say, well, actually, I made the call to this business coach, and I said, I don't know what your expertise is. However, I am going to hire someone to give me more joy in my job. Is that someone you? Would you be able to execute this? And so she's like, I've never really been hired for this, but yeah, I can help you. Because, most people are, give me more success, give me more money, give me more, notoriety, give me more followers, whatever. For me, it truly was joy. So I led with the conversation with hiring someone to increase the joy in my job. And those were some of the techniques that we were practicing. And I'll tell you, over the years, then I took a course at Stanford in joy. Then I've done, I can't even tell you how many millions of hours of research reading I've done, how many joy experiments I've done on myself and clients. So it's become something I've studied because it has unlocked so much for me in my life that I feel like it is my duty to share. Sometimes I don't want to be this person sharing it because I feel like a lot of times it's hard to take someone who's joyful seriously, that you're like, who is this lunatic, But it's like, you know what? I promised myself that, if I could get myself that joy back, that I would share it. Like I said, here I am. I feel compelled to share.
And you talked about too, like, you doing one task at a time and in that presence, and it goes back to the concept of, if we have a certain amount of energy, I think about needle movers of like, how many things can we actually move forward with this energy if we're focusing on 10 things versus like 3 things. So if there are less things that get our attention, they're going to go further faster. So maybe those were like the opportunities that you were having that were placed in your inbox, or you were present with those people in those like conversations. And it sounds like there's so much gratitude in your practice of joy too. So how does that come to life, or how do you see joy and gratitude coexisting?
Yeah. So the first steps for me were the joy journal, and then that sort of staying present, single tasking, amplifying joy by being present. Then I got like bit by the bug. I was like, I need more. Like, how can I do this? So in my studies of joy, it really came to be to find more of it. I use what's called Joy GPS. And so, I recommend everybody still start with the joy journal and really single tasking. I think those are core foundational pieces. But then once you're feeling it and you're like, okay, I want more. Mama want a little bit bigger serving. GPS is an acronym. I love acronyms. And Joy GPS, it stands for G is gratitude, to your point, and giving. G is 2 things. So being grateful, I have a app on my phone that every night I throw in 3 things that I am grateful for, and it does change your mind. The neuroplasticity world of biohacking, it's true that all of a sudden you start looking for things you're grateful for, your mind just starts working that way. It's
Yep.
pretty wild. So I've trained my brain to look for gratitude. That's a wonderful practice as part of the joy journey. Giving is another big piece. You can't read about joy without seeing that when you give to others, it doesn't have to be money. For me, a lot of it's like giving compliments and, giving a smile to somebody who looks kind of, mean or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like even today, I had a pretty, I would say, aggressive email that if I wasn't in the right space, I would have been able to be aggressive back and say, oh, you think that's aggressive? I can beat your aggressive with my aggressive. No, I was like, wait a second, let's take a breath. Let's be giving here of some of your good vibes. And so the G, gratitude and giving. P for the GPS acronym is play, is that a lot of what my experiments are is when you add play and fun to things, does it actually make you more successful? I used to believe that if you worried, it would make stuff better, right? Like the more you worried about it all day and the more you think about it and go over it in your mind a million times, oh, it's going to make things better because, you're, beating yourself up worrying about this. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
The more playful you are in even the most serious situation. So I can be in a situation where I have 30 TV segments to do back to back to back to back over the next 4 hours. I need to hit exact talking points. I need to make sure that I'm doing everything right. And if I go into that situation thinking I need to do everything right, I need to be a perfectionist, I got to ace this, I'm going to do a horrible job. If I say, listen, I'm going to practice, of course I'm going to practice. Of course I'm going to have my, strength in knowing that I know the information. However, on the day I'm going in and I'm saying, hey, everybody, let's just make this about having a good time. Let's make sure that we're sending love to each of these TV stations. Like when we lock into them, like that actually makes a magical experience. I tested it. I don't know this any other reason because I've tested it, and it's play and fun lead to joy and success. So the GPS, that P, that play part is where adults really stink. There is a study done where a whole big rack of all sorts of like clothes and hats and things were pushed into a room, and a bunch of kids were led into the room. And the kids, oh my gosh, they started playing with the hats. They started doing dress up. They started doing all sorts of skits. They started acting. Just had a blast.
Yeah.
That same exact thing of clothes and all this stuff was pushed into a room, and adults went in, and adults had no idea what the rules were. They were like, what are we supposed to do here? What's happening? They didn't play. They were like, what are the rules? How do I execute? Am I supposed to win this? Like, whatever. So it's like that taking the page from kids of like play. Kids are known, as being very joyful little beings that are in awe of things and have wonderment of such silly little idle things in our world. And we can learn so much from them. And that P is play. And then when you have GPS, this is what you and I know very well is self-care, is that if you do not have the nutrition, the exercise, the hydration, the connection with other people and strong community, if you don't have that self-care, you are going to struggle to find joy. Your human body and your human spirit needs that self-care. So, self-care is not selfish. I feel like a lot of times you hear that, but it is something that people struggle with, that, people will say, oh my gosh, that's so selfish. How could you just go to the gym when blah, 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 blah? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Self-care is the foundation of what makes you great at every single job that you need to do, whether it's a mother, a friend, a sister, whatever. So anyway, GPS is like sort of that next level of things. It's gratitude, it's giving, it's play, it's self-care. And the more you can practice those things, it doesn't have to be all at once, but the more you can practice those things, even 5% better in any one of those areas, you start cultivating even more joy.
Well, and we, as adults, we get so caught up in just like taking life too seriously to an extent where we don't have that time for fun or play or self-care because those productive multitasking things need to get done. So if somebody listening is just like in that place of like feeling burnt out, It sounds like those steps to take is first that joy list, and how can you use the GPS to help guide you? And are there any, like, as people are adopting GPS, are there any, like, experiments you work with your clients or suggest people start to integrate that into their lives?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for that. Because that's exactly right. These are all joy experiments and they need to be something, not overwhelming. This isn't like, oh, you've got to turn into somebody totally different.
Yeah.
This is like a 5% joy experiment and it could be anything. And I feel like when I talk about this stuff, people immediately resonate with something. So some people are like, I know you told me to start with a joy journal, but I actually really think I need to assign myself more play, or something like that. So, joy, yes, I would strongly suggest, the joy journal as being one joy experiment you can test out. Just 7 days, it doesn't have to be some commitment long term. Just 7 days to see where you're at. See if you can start catching any little joys around. If you're like, okay, you know what, I like that. Next up is the single tasking. Try and be present. Can you do one job and really put your all in it? Have some fun with it. And just test it out. Experiment. Don't believe me. I tell people this even when I'm doing nutrition counseling. Please don't believe me. Please don't believe what you read. Just test it and experiment in your own life and then become your own believer that you're like, oh my gosh, this really works. Like me, I thought and I was screaming and I did not want to test this out because I was sure single tasking would ruin my whole life, but it didn't. It actually made everything better. So those are things. And then in the GPS, if you're ready to go to that realm of things, it's just giving yourself experiment of maybe I do 7 days of a gratitude practice. Maybe you fell out of it and you're like, you know what? I'm going to get back to that for 7 days. What's the best app for me to use? What's the best journal that I could use? Find the best way that you like to do it. Do you draw pictures? Do you write words? Do you write one word? Do you write a sentence? Whatever. Giving, same kind of thing. Give yourself a 7-day challenge or a 7 day experiment of, okay, what would happen if I really focus on giving one thing every single day? If that's a smile, or today I gave Girl Scout cookies. Somebody at my gym was like, oh, will you buy some Girl Scout cookies? I was like, well, yeah, fine. I'll give, and you can actually just donate and not even have the cookies if you don't want the cookies. Fine.
Yeah.
I ended up getting 2 boxes of cookies and donating 3 boxes of cookies, whatever. But like, that's a little give element. So that could be money, or it could be a compliment, whatever. Give yourself the play practice. How can I make this PowerPoint that I'm doing right now 5% more fun? I have an app actually on my phone that pops up randomly that says, are you having fun? Are you having fun? And most of the time I'll be like washing dishes or I'll be doing a PowerPoint, which is like, my nemesis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not. So let me self-correct here. It's like, okay. And guess what? When I self-correct, I end up having a better PowerPoint because I ended up slowing down and not making it boring, and it made it more fun for myself and then everybody else who's going to look at it. And then when it comes to self-care, it can be overwhelming. People just make self-care so complicated. But it's like, look at nutrition, look at hydration, look at movement, look at connection. And it doesn't have to be something dramatic. We don't have to biohack ourselves out of optimization, whatever. It's like, did you eat a fruit or a vegetable bite at each meal? Like, it could be something small, but I mean, that moves things. Momentum happens with like small actions like that. So yeah, I get really excited about the acronym. And listen, I'm human. And even though I know all of this and I've been at the depths of the deep bottom, of darkness, and I've found my way out, I forget. I mean, believe me, I forget. It is so easy to forget. And so then I will start again and I will say, maybe it's time to do a joy journal again, because I literally am just whispering nasty things under my breath as I walk by people. Like, what is happening? And it's like, that might be a tip off that you are not in your joy element. It's like, okay, whatever. So nonetheless, I think this is a practice, for all of us. And it's never this end game where you never have to do anything again. It's like, I'm practicing this stuff along with everybody.
Yeah, and you mentioned self-correcting. What does that look like for you to self-correct, to being like, how can I infuse fun or play into this? Because it seems like partially a mindset, but also how do you live that out of making a PowerPoint fun?
You know what? Actually, this is a funny thing because it is actually the real life example that I have a lot. It's like, I don't know, I do a lot of public speaking and there's a lot of PowerPoints involved. So I think this is something maybe I should give a masterclass on. So, at the end of the day, what I will usually do, so I am usually, why I'm having no fun, is that I'm too far in to one topic. So I usually sit back, put on music, and I know this sounds maybe weird, but I think it is the greatest thing. I have an office trampoline, a baby little mini trampoline. I go on the trampoline to try and get movement in my head. So it's like, a 3-minute song. I am on the trampoline, just getting out of my head. And then I say to myself, go big picture, look at this PowerPoint big, get out of these little nooks and crannies and go big. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so boring.
Yeah.
And so then I usually end up having to redo a lot of this stuff and make it a bigger picture, and the thing about it too is, there's a little element of play in there, but then it ends up being a little element of giving because nobody wants to sit through a boring PowerPoint presentation. So by me stopping and being like, actually, what you're working on is kind of garbagey and boring, it's helping people in the end because I start thinking about the audience when I'm doing the PowerPoint, refiguring. And I'm like, okay, I don't think they would have wanted to see 2,000 words on one slide. Like, cool your jets and maybe put a picture on there,
Yeah,
So,
it's play and self-care, so then you can actually give. It's funny because I actually do the same thing. I'll be like, okay, what is my pump-up song going to be? And I'm going to go jump on the trampoline right now because there's just something about, like, getting the yayas out of, like, what's no longer, like, serving us. Quick break. So, my word for 2026 is luminescence, and I'm all about routines that support me to glow from the inside out, especially when it comes to gut health and my skin. My favorite daily ritual right now, it starts with my morning glow up smoothie. I toss in a scoop of Now Foods collagen peptide powder, a sprinkle of their triple omega seed mix, and psyllium husk for fiber, and blend it all together with almond milk and frozen berries. It's so good and the best way to start my day. While I'm blending my smoothie, I use this time to make sure to get in my probiotics with Now Foods probiotic for healthy digestion and immune system support. And when I want a little treat, I keep their collagen jelly beauty sticks chilled in the fridge. They're the perfect grab and glow moment, if you know what I mean. What I love most is that Now Foods tests every single product in their world-class labs, over 31,000 tests each month, so I know I'm getting quality I can trust without the crazy price tag. To start your own glow up routine, use code WESHINE at nowfoods.com for 20% off anytime this year.
yes, I think, yes, there's something very magical about movement, and especially jumping for me. I'm just going to brag. I am a great jump roper. I am fantastic at it.
Bill.
I will say my skills are pretty good. My attitude is great, but jumping, and that's why I bought my trampoline, is because I really feel like that act of jumping, whether it's trampoline or jump rope, it really gets my blood going and sort of gets me out of my head with things for sure. But going back, I really think I do need to do some sort of soul searching about this, how to make PowerPoint presentations more fun for you and your audience. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm writing that down as a note
I would love
for
that.
today.
You're also getting like your lymphatic drainage support
Yes,
through
yes.
jumping on the trampoline.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Clearing the garbage.
Yes. How do you see joy as a nutrient as it relates to not just your life, but also nutrition that's
Yeah.
on your plate? Because there's so much about two people can be eating the same things, but we'll digest it differently based on mindset, the state that you're in, and that kind of thing as well.
Yes. So, I started doing all this joy work for my own job, and I didn't really think about it as a nutrition piece. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is joy in my job, doing all the executing of my work. But I never really thought about it as the food thing until I started noticing. I was like, wait a second. When you start working on joy in any area, it starts trickling into other things. And so it ended up very much being that my nutrition always had a little glimmer of flexibility and the fun and whatever. But now I really realize, like, that's a key to everybody's success in reading my recipes or reading my articles or reading my books or anything, is that there is this element of fun in it. And how I get that for people is it's a 3-step process that I do. I call it want, balance, own. And so anytime somebody is like, can you help me with nutrition, no matter what it is, we always start with, what do you want to eat? Like, not what do you think is right to eat in your condition with your symptoms? What do you think is right with your goals in mind? No, just like, you get to go to a restaurant or anything you want. What are we ordering here, girl? Like, what do you want to eat? And starting from that place is very unique, because in our culture right now, when it comes to nutrition, everything is about what should you eat. Oh, well, you shouldn't eat that. Well, you should eat this. Here's the shoulds, here's the shouldn'ts. And nobody's talking about the word want. It's like, no, that's where you actually start the conversation with nutrition. What do you want to eat? And then the second thing is balancing it. So making sure that no matter if you want to eat a salad, well, are you balancing it with things that also feel satisfying? If you want to eat pizza, are you also balancing with things that supercharge your cells with nutrition? Balance is both physical and mental. So you're physically and mentally balancing your wants. And then the third step is eat it and mean it. So many people they eat it and then they beat themselves up about it, or they eat it and they forgot they ate it because they were multitasking, or they are just not paying attention to, did they like it or did they not even like it? Nobody is even paying attention. So it's like, own it. Sit down at a table with a plate in a chair. I call it table, plate, chair. Table, plate, chair. Those are the three things you need to eat. And really own the food. You made that decision. You made that food. Eat it, enjoy it, move on, baby. And so that's how I do nutrition. And I'll tell you, even when I was doing the Chicago Cubs baseball team as the head dietitian, that's exactly where I started, even though I was hired as a performance nutrition person, right? So we want these people to perform at their very best. I always started with, what do you guys want to eat? We want to eat hamburgers. We want to eat tacos. We want to eat our family culture favorites, Great. Let's start there. You can eat anything you want and you can balance it in a way that still makes you feel great and makes you play wonderful. And guess what? You don't have to sit there and stick to something you don't like. You're going to enjoy it because you started with what you wanted and there's no forcing. And so, for me, that's where the joy of nutrition comes in, is it's, having systems like that bake it in from the very beginning.
And how do you mentioned too, even with those athletes, how do you balance that approach with helping people achieve whatever their goals might be, like performing at the highest caliber?
Yeah. A balance piece of it is really the key, is that at the end of the day, is that people, they will use nutrition that they eat. So you can force people to eat stuff they don't want and it will not last. And so if you do the want and balance own piece, there's no forcing anybody to do anything. So people end up performing even better because they're able to stick to it. Whether you're an athlete or whether you're an everyday athlete or whether you're in a funk right now and not doing a ton of movement, no matter what it is, at the end of the day, when you are eating foods that you enjoy that are also balanced with cellular health in mind, I guess it's just magic. It works because you stick to it,
Yeah. And I mean, if we stick to anything, that will give us more long-term support versus a diet quick fix that will last a month and then won't have any results after.
Yep. Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yeah. So you are just so values driven and believe that food is not always just fully about the nutrients. How do you help people reconnect to that food as nourishment and pleasure as well?
Oh my gosh. Okay. It's so many things. When you were talking, so many things started popping in my mind. And I was like, wait, be present. Because I was like, oh, I want to answer that. Oh, I want to answer that. So I have this saying, joy is a nutrient.
Yep.
Okay. And what I mean by that is fiber is a nutrient. Vitamin C is a nutrient. We need it to survive. That's how I feel about joy. Joy is one of the nutrients that you need to survive. And, your actual nutrition matters. And we do know for a fact, when we eat certain things, we feel better. And it's so I'll have people that really, are wanting to feel good, like me.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of the want, balance, own for them to feel their best and experiment and say, oh my gosh, look what happens when you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner that are balanced and things that you enjoy eating. Look how you're more focused at work. Look how you can be more productive. Look how you're less irritable, less hangry. Look at how your cravings aren't, all over the place because you actually have nourished your body. So it really is one of those things where I like people to do experiments and just see, people, oh my gosh, I don't know what would happen if I had more at breakfast. It's like, well, why don't you just test it out and see? Experiment, joy, experiment. And it's like, oh my gosh, your life changed. Wonderful. There you go. So, nutrition it's very similar to what I've done in my, everyday job to get more joy. Just these experiments and see how it feels.
Yeah. And for somebody that might be like in this place of like hating their body or neutrality,
Yeah.
how does joy come into that equation when it comes to body as well as food?
Yes. Okay. This is a big one. So my practice, my stance, how I work with people on this is called body gratitude. And so
Mm,
gratitude is a piece of joy. And it is oh my gosh, I take gratitude showers all the time. I assign gratitude showers as a joy experiment. Gratitude of your body is like,
uh-huh,
you don't have to like what it looks like, but man, oh man, do I love that I have eyes I can see. You don't have to like
mhm,
what it looks like, but whoa, did you see how I got up and down those stairs today? Thank you, legs. And so I really believe that looking at each one of your body parts of thanking it gratefully
mhm,
of what it is doing for you is a great neuroplasticity experiment. Okay. And so it's none of these things are you making up, because a lot of times people either they're being neutral and they're not paying any attention, or they're trying to be
mhm,
too toxic positive. They're saying things they don't even believe. But gratitude is real. Like you can really
mhm,
be grateful that your teeth can chomp on food. Like you can really be grateful that you have a voice that's healthy enough to talk to friends. I've got arms that hug people. Like what? This is a miracle. So I love doing body gratitude. And I think the number one place to do it is when you are naked, alone in the shower, and
mhm,
you are there and you
mhm,
are with your body. And I have even times, even though this is beyond gratitude, there are times where I've apologized to body parts where I've spoken negatively about them. And I'm like, that is so rude. Why would I say that?
mhm,
Like, so I say, I am so sorry that I said, you are big, or I am so sorry that I said nasty things about you. And let me be grateful for how you make me walk, or how you have helped me lift such heavy weights today at the gym that I could be a show off, or whatever. Like at the end of the day, this gratitude piece will set you free.
And it's that mind body connection that's so powerful as well. I have a friend who similarly she like talking about like healing and just being like, how is my body betraying me? But it's like, but how is it serving me? Is she shared this exercise of like being naked in the mirror and holding every part of your body and being like, I love you, thank you. And I think even personally, sometimes I'm just like, okay, like I'm gonna go, 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 and I'm just gonna like forget to eat or be like, where is my body, like where's my mind, where's my soul right now? And I feel like sometimes it's those check-ins of just simply asking myself those things to just be grounded and fully present and grateful to be able to live from that place of joy either. Because it's like if we're living outside of our heads and our bodies and our worlds, then we can't have that full embodied joy to be able to like serve and give and even care for ourselves, and you're in the joy GPS you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big believer that, my body is mine to take care of, and I am a glimmer, magical fairy inside. It
Mhm.
is, I am in there, but like my body is just like I want to take care of my car and go for car washes and make sure it has enough gas and give it its tune ups and, make sure the tires are rotated or whatever, all the things it needs to do. That's what I think about my body, is that this is my thing to care for, because that's
Mhm.
where my little fairy spirit lives. And yeah, I love what you're saying about, admitting when people are like, yeah, I'm not feeling great in my body, but there is this body gratitude to practice. And it is it's so weird that it works. Like you feel like you hear all these people talk about gratitude, this, gratitude, that.
Mhm.
And it's sort of like, you know what, unless you actually see how your mind starts changing, it's hard to believe, and so that
Yeah.
body gratitude practice for me, really, especially in like, I love the gym. I love being around, gym culture. Like I love being active with my friends. I love this. But I will say there's a lot of toxic talk that happens.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're, not listening to it. It's not that we don't see it. It's not that it doesn't hurt us. It's that it's like, oh, wait a second. That's not how I want to be talking about my body. So you can be grateful. You can do these things even when you see other things happening around you. And I think that's the powerful thing is that, you can practice it and things can change.
And with so much noise out there around like what you should or you could do in terms of movement or nutrition and eating how many grams of protein each day, how do we tune in to our own unique version, like our own unique bodies and what we need each day to be able to live from that place of joy?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's funny. It's one of the first assignments. If I have a client, one of the first assignments, I say, listen, are we going to be talking or are you going to be trying to talk to all these other, Instagram people, whatever? Because we have to, just like the part of joy is single tasking. That is the same with us and like all the noise that's around. And so this may be the time to mute. You don't have to unfollow. Like I know everyone's like, unfollow. People are toxic. Yes, you can. But if you're also like, they're my friend or whatever, so you could just mute them for a while, on your feed, not reading things that are making you feel confused and really say, you know what, I'm going to do a joy experiment. What happens if I ask myself, what do I want to eat? How can I balance that for physical health and mental enjoyment? Make sure that's both. It has both in there. Your health nut and your wild child are both satisfied with that meal. And then, own it and move on, enjoy it and move on. And practicing that, giving yourself an experiment and say, oh my gosh, is this really how easy nutrition can be? What? Like, and I think part of it is you just have to acknowledge it is a noisy place. It is very easy to be distracted. And so, trying your best to tune it out and just give yourself a test and see how it goes.
Yeah. Working with your clients, is there any like through line of ahas they have when you help uncover how simple it can be?
I think the thing is it's frustration that they didn't know sooner that it could be so not simple, less complicated than people make it. A lot of times I call it the fundamentals of nutrition, fundamentals. But it's true. It's like it's people get distracted by these little tiny details and they start arguing about, tiny things that don't make as big of a deal of, listen, lady, you don't eat any fruits and vegetables. Like, why don't we just start with that? Like, why do we have to be biohacking things right now or whatever? Or like, hey, you know what? You're not doing any movement. I'm going to tell you your stress and your sleep will be better if you did some movement. We don't have to worry about such, small minutia. So, the big picture wellness, the fundamentals are really they're key. And I think it is the through line, like you're asking, is the through line that people are saying, oh my gosh, I feel so much better knowing I don't have to juggle a million things. It's just really, and actually one of my fundamentals is joy. I'd like making sure that, you have it in there. And I think that's true. Like, not only with food, yes, I am a dietitian, but I am a worker in the world. I am a friend in the world. I'm a wife in the world. I'm a stepmom in the world. Like, using these principles in all of our relations to our body, to our food, to our businesses, to, whatever. And it starts changing, who you want to spend time with. It starts changing the types of clients you want to work with, so I know, one of your sponsors for the show is Now Foods. They are a client of mine. And one of the things that I do when I am now in this more joy-filled life is I make decisions about who I want to work with. And are they people who, have the same sort of values that I have? Friends is a similar thing. Are these people, and I'm not like, oh my God, I'm cutting you out, but I'm just more mindful with how I spend my time when it comes to food, who I'm reading, what I'm reading, when it comes to exercise, what I'm doing, when it comes to business, when it comes to friends, all this stuff, it matters. I mean, it's all part of our lives, and paying attention to pairing up with people who have similar values and value you and you value them, it makes for a more joyful experience for sure.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to nutrition and even like work and setting goals, and we're always taught to, or for the most part in society, optimize, plan, push. What shifts when we stop chasing those goals and start following joy instead?
Oh my gosh, this is probably the scariest thing that I've ever admitted out loud. I did it. There was a podcast called We've Got Goals, and they asked me to be a guest on that podcast. And I was like, oh my God, I don't think I could be a guest on that podcast because I don't believe in goals. And I was like, what can I do here? Like, what am I going to do? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell the truth. And so
What's the
I
truth?
sort of popped my bubble with that, letting it out there that ever since I started this whole joy journey, I have reclassified what I am up to. And if I would have set goals for myself, they would have been so much smaller than anything I could have thought. Like, did I think I was going to write books? Did I think I was going to have a national TV show? Did I think I was going to host my own TV show? Did I think I was going to have any of this stuff? I would never in a million years put that on my goal board. Like, I was dreaming too small. It wasn't until I opened up to possibility and said, listen, I don't know. I'm just open to possibilities. And when you are more joyful and feeling more fun, you become more brave to go for those things. You become more creative for how you could make that work. You become, just more energetic to do all of these things. So I don't call it goal setting. I more am in this joy hustle sort of attitude. So I still love the idea of work. I still like working. Like I like being productive and I like working, but I've tempered it and I've made it more about this joy hustle, meaning that I will look at something and say, oh my gosh, that's making me curious. Oh my gosh, that sounds meaningful. Oh my gosh, that sounds fun. And I will do it. And I will push myself at it. And I will take inspired action. And I will stay up at night thinking about it. And I will pull an all-nighter if I need to. I will still put hustle behind things. However, I like to know that it is joy-led. And then that is how I am doing my own world. So my business philosophy is wake up, do the work in front of me with enthusiasm, and stay open to the possibilities all around you. 3 steps, right? Is like show up, do the work in front of you with enthusiasm, and stay open to all the possibilities around you. And it's incredible what happens. Say you only have 1 email to do that day. You got nothing going on. You got no prospects, but you give your all to that email. You put everything into it. You don't know that other person could know 300 other people that they talk about. I was given an opportunity. It was to do a talk for free, but it was like they were the cutest, like just they were the greatest. I was like, I want to do this for these ladies. I just love them. They're cute. They're fabulous. Yeah. And so I said, fine, I'm going to do it. And I put my all into it. Regardless of how much I was being paid, I wanted to do it. Just went all out, did everything. And from that experience, somebody on the call happened to have a huge business opportunity that they gave to me. And they said, oh my gosh, we loved your talk. Would you like to do this huge project? So it's like, even if you have one little thing in front of you and you're doing it with enthusiasm and it's not like you don't even think anything's going to come from it, you never know. And so that's where the, opportunities find you when you're enthusiastically doing the work. So I don't think you can sit around all day and just, make vision boards and meditate all day, which I do both. I do both. I have the cutest little vision board now.
I was going to say, how are you planning? Because we're recording the beginning of 2026. How are you planning for 2026?
Well, yeah, here at the end of the day, truly it is, for me, it is, even though I have that it's very cute vision board, I really do I love the idea of my prep is I do the 3 steps. I show up, I click on my email or look on my calendar, what's happening, and I am present. I try and do that work with enthusiasm. And then opportunities find me when I'm enthusiastically doing the work. So I'm not just at home, I'm out there working, but I'm doing it and things that I enjoy doing. And then opportunities come. So that is the magic of the universe that I have been sworn to share, because I feel like, I got so much value out of learning that lesson for me, myself, and that now in the method of sharing and giving, it's like, that's really it. It's like opportunities find you when you're enthusiastically doing the work. And, when it's a joy hustle, it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah. I love how easily digestible you make everything, and it sounds like you are also following like the joy breadcrumbs in a way of like, how are they leading you to exactly where you are? And I even think about the concept in my own life of, I used to just architect the entire staircase. What is the plan going to be? And God laughs. And I'm like, I've learned the only thing that I can do is take one right next step at a time that like feels in alignment, I'm excited about, because from there, like, that's how I've built my entire business, but also like my life of meeting the most incredible friends, the most incredible connections, and I just love connecting them with other people. And you never know who you're going to meet or where a conversation will go, or email, to your point, to like skyrocket what your opportunities might be from that energetic place of openness, but also passion of what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's impossible to ignore somebody who is enjoying themselves. You're like, what are they up to? And it spreads, the information spreads. It's like, oh my gosh, she really loves what she does. Like, here's her name, here's her information.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say also, don't fall into the trap of doing things because you know what the outcome is going to be. So for example, I said yes to jump rope. Years ago, it was like during the pandemic, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to say yes to doing jump rope. Okay, great. I did not think that it would impact my job and that I would get job opportunities because I said yes to jump rope. So not everything is a clear cut thing. It's not like, oh, if I do this, then these people will call me and this and this and this will happen. It's like, no, if you follow true joy, it could be in things that aren't even exactly occurring to you. Like, this isn't even have anything to do with my career. Literally, it has nothing to do with literally jump rope has nothing to do with my career, but yet it has led to opportunities. So when you're saying yes to joy, it's joy of all things and not necessarily things that make total sense on paper. And we all know that. We all know the guy looks perfect on paper, but there's no chemistry. So It's like, it's the same kind of thing with your whole life. It's like, looking for those business partners, looking for the friends, looking for the opportunities, looking for the meetings, whatever that, give you chemistry, not necessarily that look perfect on paper.
Yeah. How can we let life flow instead of forcing everything as well?
Preach, girl, preach.
So for somebody that's listening who just feels disconnected from their joy in their life or their career, how can they start to infuse that enthusiasm in it and invite that joy in?
Yeah, I'd say go slow. Like, listen, I disconnect from joy all the time. And I feel like, oh, I'm going to start over again and do my joy journal. I'm not single tasking. I got to get back to it. It's doing those simple things and knowing that it's okay. You don't have to, it's not about cartwheels. It's not about wearing colors. It's not, all the stuff that people think are joy. It's not that, it's feeling content. It's feeling heart led. It's feeling, just like good. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to feel like anything massive. So for somebody who's really, and I've been there, you feel like you go for 7 days, you can find 0 joyful things. I've been there. Is just think about the little things and start a joy journal and just start catching the little things that are around you. And if that feels hard, then you work with the gratitude piece. Gratitude may be a little bit easier for people, if it's like, I still can't figure out what's joyful. It's like, well, gratitude, there are a lot of things that you can look around and be grateful for. So if it's really hard to start with joy, you could start with a gratitude, but I just love that joy journal.
And what do you see the relationship between happiness and joy being? At one point, I heard somebody say happiness can be fleeting, but joy is lasting.
Yeah. So this is something that I have grappled with too. It's like the definitions of what's positive thinking, what's happiness, what's joy, what's fun. All these words are positive emotions. So it's easy to feel like, they are used as synonyms and can ebb and flow. When it comes to the research on joy, it is more that it is this momentary thing of, it just is, it's not something you're chasing. It's not something you're hustling. It's not something that you're ranking, how much, joy do you have right now on a scale of 1 to 10? No, it's just, are you enjoying your coffee? Do you like the pen you're writing with? Like, do you enjoy the person you're talking to right now? Whatever. Yeah. It's not such a big, so even though joy feels like this powerful big word and overwhelming, it's actually little tiny glimmers as opposed to something that is something you chase. It's just little things that are actually already there. And all we're doing is trying to just retrain our brain to see it.
We think it's hidden, but it's actually right in front of us.
It's so true. It's so true. But I
Mhm.
mean, listen, your brain does wild things and it starts running its own programs. And so we have to like reprogram it all the time to be like, no, it's there, girl. It's there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is there any new exciting research coming out about joy or any that you just continue to go back to?
Well, no, I think the biggest thing for me is this idea that we have screwed up definitions of what it is that, it's in these tiny moments. And when you can cut yourself a break and, I follow people on Instagram who are like joy based things. And I mean, they are always dancing and jumping up and down and doing things. I am too. I am too. And I got to give us all some rolls of eyes because it's like that is part of joy. Yes. But there's also serenity joy of just like drinking a coffee and being able to breathe some fresh air before you start your day. So, for me, I think it's going back to that basics of, I think we get the definition wrong that joy is, really these little moments that are all around us already.
Yeah, it's powerful. And what is one truth or reminder you want everyone listening to take with them today?
Okay, so the one thing, okay, here's what I'm going to say. This is the thing I say to myself all the time is
Yep.
that I say joy or fun, you could use either one, but joy is a success tool. Like that motivates me. Like that is to
Mhm.
me, it's like I really don't think it's fluff, right? I've done the experiments in my own world and I've seen research on it. Like I realize that focusing on this stuff is not the extra that you need to do in your life. It is the thing to do
Mhm.
having success. And what is success? Like success in my relationships with business partners, success in my relationship with my husband, success in my relationship with my friends, all of the things that we look at as success, like joy enhances it. So joy is a success tool is your takeaway.
Well, and success is how we uniquely define it for ourselves as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, absolutely. And yeah, in each one of those arenas, it is definitely, your own definition is what counts for sure.
Yes, yes. And where can listeners connect with you, learn from you, join your programs, and live their most joy-filled life inspired by you?
Fun. Okay, so I have two places. So my website is djblatner.com
Mhm.
because my name is Dawn Jackson Blatner, but I thought it would be fun to play around with djblatner.com. So djblatner.com is where I have my newsletter that I give out. It's called the Nutrition Wow, Words of Wisdom, every single week. So you can sign up for that. And I also do a ton of partnering with nowfoods.com. They have
Mhm.
so many of my recipes. They have so many of my videos. They have so many of my wellness tips that now they are like my second hub. So you can also
Yeah.
go to nowfoods.com for all sorts of goodies that I've done.
Yeah. We both love their products so much, of
Yep.
course.
Fangirl.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom, your radiant joy that's just coming through the camera right now to inspire everyone here and beyond. So excited to share this episode with everyone to have more joy in their lives.
Hey, thanks for having me and thanks for letting me be part of your community. It's a powerful place to be.
Of course. Thank you for tuning in to the We Shine Well podcast. If today's conversation lit something up in you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave us a review, and dive deeper each week by subscribing to our Substack in the show notes to interact with guests and discover more resources to expand you. Until next time, keep trusting your right next step and keep shining, my friend.